We have been using the Sutram 2.3.13 Chaturthi Sampradane. We will now take a look at the next Sutram in the Ashtadhyayi order, which is 2.3.14, which reads Kriyarthopapadasya cha karmani sthaninaha. And the vritti says Kriyartha kriya upapadam yasya tasya sthanino prayujyamanasya tumunaha karmani chaturthi syat. The word sthaninaha used in the sutram stands for aprayujyamanasya, of a term which is not actually being used, which is implied but not actually expressed. And the compound kriyarthopapadasya is a reference to the sutram 3.3.10 tumun nulo kriyayang kriyarthayam, which we have studied. Let us look at that sutram quickly for a second. It says that the affix tumun as well as nul may be used following a verbal root to denote a future action when in conjunction with another action intended for the future action. That is why the vritti says kriyarthopapadasya means tumunaha or nulaha. Even though the vritti only says tumunaha, it also includes nulaha, because they are both prescribed by the same sutram 3.3.10. Tumun is much more common than nul. That's why the vritti only mentions tumun. So the meaning of the entire sutram becomes a fourth case affix is used to denote the karma object of an implied but not actually expressed verbal participle ending in the affix tumun or nul, prescribed by 3.3.10. Tumun vulau kriyayang kriyarthayam. And the participle is in conjunction with another action done for the sake of the implied future action. The implied future action is the one which is implied by the suppressed verbal participle ending in the affix tumun or nul. Please note that Dvitiyapavadoyam, Dvitiyapavadaha ayam. The fourth case affix prescribed by this sutram is the apavadaha, exception to the second case affix dvitiya vibhakti, which would have been prescribed by 2.3.2 karmani dvitiya. Normally, a second case affix is used following a pratipadikam which denotes the karma object of an action. This sutram now says a chaturthi should be used under certain circumstances. That is how the chaturthi vibhakti prescribed by this sutram is apavadaha for the dvitiya vibhakti, which would have been prescribed by 2.3.2. To understand this sutram clearly, let us take an example now. The example is phalebhyo yati, meaning phalanyahartum athava phalanyaharakaha yati. Someone goes for fruits, meaning that someone goes to fetch fruits. The action of fetching has been suppressed in the sentence. The fruits are actually the object of the action of fetching, which has been suppressed. The participle ahartum or aharakaha has been suppressed. The action yati is the kriyartha kriya. The action of going is being done in order to facilitate the future action of fetching. So the suppressed participle ahartum or aharaka is in conjunction with the expressed action of going, which is a kriyartha kriya, an action which is done for the sake of the future action, the future implied action of fetching. This is how this sutram works. First we have to spot a verbal participle ending in the affix tumun or nul. Among these two, tumun is much more common. The participle is not actually expressed, it is only implied. The affix tumun or nul is the one prescribed by the sutram 3.3.10. Tumun nulau kriyayang kriyarthayam, which means that this suppressed participle must be in conjunction with an action which is an expressed action being done for the sake of the implied future action. The future action denoted by the implied participle. And then we look at the object of that implied verbal participle ending in tumun or nul and use a fourth case affix to denote that object. of the implied participle. In our example here, ahartum or aharakaha is the implied participle ending in tumun or nvul. Yati is artha kriya, and phalani is the object of the implied action ahartum or aharakaha. Therefore, we use the fourth case affix, in this case the plural affix bhyas, following the pratipadikam phala when that participle ahartum or aharakaha is suppressed. The next example here is namaskurmo nrsimhaya. Nṛsiṁham anukulayitum ityarthaha. Nṛsiṁham anukulayitum iti arthaha. So we offer salutations to Lord Nṛsiṁha, meaning that we offer salutations to propitiate Lord Nṛsiṁha. Here the participle anukulayitum, which ends in the affix tumun, has been suppressed in the sentence namaskurmo nrsimhaya. And since Nṛsiṁha is the object of the suppressed infinitive anukulayitum, therefore we attach a fourth case affix to Nṛsiṁha to get the form Nṛsimhaya. Now the question comes, couldn't we just use a sutram 2.3.16, namasvasti, etc., which we'll be learning shortly, which prescribes a fourth case affix following a pratipadikam that is in conjunction with namaha, etc.? The answer is that no, we could not use 2.3.16. Why? Because upapada vibhaktehe karaka vibhakti baliyastvat. The reason is that 2.3.16 namasvasti, etc. prescribes the upapada vibhaktihi. Vibhaktihi is governed by a term which is in conjunction, which is nearby, as opposed to 2.3.2 karmani liya, which prescribes a karaka vibhaktihi. Vibhaktihi, which is governed by a verb or verbal derivative. And since a karaka vibhaktihi has greater force than that of a upapada vibhaktihi, 2.3.2 overrules 2.3.16. Hence 2.3.16 cannot be invoked here to justify the fourth case affix in Nṛsiṁhaya. That's why we need this sutram 2.3.14 to justify the fourth case affix following Nṛsiṁha, which is the object of the suppressed participle anukulayitum, the action of propitiating, which is implied but not actually expressed. This is actually a very powerful sutram. It can be used to justify the fourth case affix in a variety of situations. As long as we are able to identify a suppressed infinitive, we can take the object of that suppressed infinitive and then use the fourth case affix following that object. So please remember this sutram. It will come in handy in a number of places. The placement of this sutram 2.3.14 right after 2.3.13 Chaturthi Sampradane makes it easy to remember this sutram. Please make a note of it.